What's up, everybody? It's Jason24CF with Seth Killian at New York Comic Con, and this past weekend Seth has been introducing a lot of new stuff. There's Street Fighter Tekken, there's Ultimate, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, there's that new Heroes and, what is it, Heralds mode?
Heroes and Heralds.
Heralds mode. So, but first we're going to start off with the Street Fighter Tekken. The gem system was introduced yesterday.
Yeah.
A bunch of people were just completely going crazy on Twitter, whatever, saying, no, it's a horrible idea for tournaments, I'm banning it. Your thoughts? Explain the gem system in depth.
So initially the idea to me was very exciting because we talked about ideas like this probably 3 years ago as far as ways to modify some of the characters. So it's basically a series of customizable power-ups which allow you to play like your Chun-Li and my Chun-Li, maybe different styles. Maybe you have a hard-hitting Chun-Li, maybe I have a meter-building Chun-Li. And you can even use things like concepts of batteries for some characters because it's a tag team game. But it allows you to play sort of different styles of characters. Then when we talked more about it, I started to get more worried, and I was like, I don't know, maybe this is not the right direction. And then once we started to actually play with it and get into it, I fell back in love because there's just a million different possibilities, and we haven't even really yet scratched the surface of the kind of things that you can do actually with the gems and how they change the game in sort of interesting ways. So as far as tournaments go, that's obviously up to the tournament organizer to go whatever direction they want, but there will be default gems in the game that you can play with on the disc and things like that. And basically, the game has been built around the expectation that gems will be used. So we look at it as a core part of the game. Again, up to tournament organizers what they want to do with it. Obviously, it's their event. But at the same time, I think once people actually begin playing with this, they'll have fun in the same kind of way I did and start to see the possibilities and what that means. And as long as you can keep it fair for everybody has access to the same kind of tools and things like that, I think it's going to be, I think it's actually great. But, it's up to the tournament organizers to decide that for themselves.
Right, yeah, because again, they went crazy. They saw, 40% damage combos. They're like, oh, you can't allow that with top level play or these super defense and such like that. But then Marvel introduces something with their card system. But you said it's only going to be for the Heroes and Heralds mode and not for, but still that concept, would you see that translating over to maybe just the standard versus mode with those card concepts as well?
I mean, people want to play that way, I guess they could play that way, but it is extremely insane. So in Street Fighter Cross Tekken, we're actually trying to balance around the gems with the expectation that they'll be used. In Heroes and Heralds mode, we're just going nuts. So there's all sorts of insane stuff in Heroes and Heralds mode. You saw some of the parrying that's possible, invisibility. Those are just a few of the things shown in the trailer. It gets way nuttier than that. So there's all sorts of ways to make just completely broken stuff in Heroes and Heralds mode, where you can just sort of throw balance and insanity to the wind completely. So that's more of a relaxed, have fun mode in our view, but the gems are actually quite seriously balanced. So I think when people see them and start playing with them, their opinions will change because it's not like you get a 40% power up. Like some of those power ups were based on things that the opponent did to you. Some of them are things that you do to the opponent that maybe the opponent doesn't let you do. But that's the whole fun of it, is because your strategy begins to totally change based on the gems that you're fighting against. It's like, okay, this guy has a gem that activates and he can land 2 throws in a match. So I got to be really sure to tech all of his throws to make sure he never gets the power up. Or maybe because he knows that, he starts playing in a different way. And that's just for like one gem, one activation condition. So the idea of getting a 40% power up or something like that is not going to be very realistic. Obviously, we just let that happen in the match.
Right.
But to have all 3 of those conditions met and in the same time frame, because most of the gems have a time activation condition where it's not active for the whole round, it's active only for a certain period of time. So to line all 3 of those up doesn't happen very much, but when it does, it's actually really hype. It's just like, this guy's got 40% damage. So maybe you're going to try and run away, maybe you're going to block a little more, but it really introduces like massive layers of strategy and sort of mind games into it, and then you can think about like how you want to adjust your own character above and beyond maybe what somebody else has done with a certain character. So it's up to people to decide for themselves, but that's what we're going to do is show people what it's about, and hopefully they'll fall in line with with our way of thinking, that it's actually very, very fun and very strategic.
Now, is this the future of where fighting games are going, adding these additional concepts to the game itself?
Well, this is something that we're playing around with, at least on the Capcom side, just to sort of see how it goes as an experiment. And I think it's sort of an inherently fun idea, like the idea of some of that Magic the Gathering sort of customizability, and not just doing it sort of in a cosmetic way. I mean, we've seen Tekken do a lot of crazy customization options, but not just cosmetically, but actually gameplay, which is really what we're all about. So it's something we're experimenting with. Actually, the Marvel team and the Street Fighter team came to these ideas on their own, so it's not part of some master plan or anything like that. It's just the Marvel team was having some fun with it, and the Street Fighter team built this concept in early to cross Tekken. So yeah, it's just sometimes great minds think alike, and we'll see how it goes, but it's just an experiment, not necessarily the wave of the future.
Now, with the balance issues, how did the balance issues come about for MVC3? Like, was that just basically what everything was seen on the tournaments, or was it concerns where players found things that the developers did not, quite notice and say, all right, we have to balance that for the next game coming out?
Yeah. No, I mean, everybody watches the tournament results very closely. We watch all the glitch videos and THC glitches and everything else. So there are things that if we like them, we'll leave them in there. Other things we'll take out. Some things that we took out, nobody ever even found in the original MVC3. So yeah, it's definitely a balance of trying to keep people, keep track of like what's happening in the competitive world and balance it out with our own internal findings about what works and what we intended and whatnot.
Right. So now to the plain old footsie battle, Street Fighter, which doesn't have all that crazy nonsense. You spoke to me yesterday. Nobody knows, but you said AE is basically about done. The update is set to come out December 13th. If there were any changes, you guys could do it just pretty quickly because it's frame data.
Yeah.
What was the thoughts again? You said tournament play decided it. What were the main things that you found were a problem that needed to be addressed in AE?
Well, honestly, I didn't really work too much on the transition from AE to the 2012 edition. So I worked a lot back on Original 4 and then on Super. But from AE and beyond, I've had my hands full because we're making a lot of fighting games, doing a lot of the fighting side. So I've actually been working more on the Marvel side of things than on the Street Fighter side of things. So, I talk to those guys all the time, and I put in my licks here and there. Obviously, characters like Yin and Yang had a few too many advantages, just sort of around the horn. But I think in sort of some of the late period tournament results, you started to see good representation from a lot of different characters, not just strong ones like Fei Long. But you did see some changes to some of the top tier. So the top tier is mostly taking a step down. Fei Long suffered some nerfs, as you well know. Viper has a few things, although I think changes like Viper's EX Seismo I think are quite fair, because if she wants to do an anti-air, she now really has to commit to that. But overall, I have to spend more time with the game because I've only played sort of limited amounts of the 2012 edition, and I think it's pretty solid right now. I think it's made some changes in the right direction. There are other changes that I haven't spent enough time with to really have a clear view on, but hopefully the rest of the internet will do the same thing and actually play the game before they decide what's good and bad.
One of the questions I had yesterday, I actually got the idea for somebody else on the forum. They said they felt that it was biased, that the test locations were only in Japan, but not here in the U.S. You broke it down to me yesterday exactly. You wanted to try in U.S., but nobody else heard it besides me. So, could you get into that?
Yeah, basically, at the last LA Fight Club, we actually had... I got the build from the team, the latest build, the most updated build, and we were going to bring it to the LA Fight Club, but unfortunately we had shipping problems with the machines. So we were going to have it there just sort of as a surprise. It was primarily a Marvel 3 event, but we were going to have the AE machines there just as a surprise to let people give us their feedback and get the American fans in there to play it. But it's mostly just been a series of timing problems and difficulties like that. So that was one, at TGS I made a special effort to have the dev team make that build and brought it with us, but wasn't able to work out at the last minute, so I was disappointed about that. I'm sorry that we missed out on that opportunity, but their results are part of our whole vision of like what we're looking at and what we're evaluating. So American fans aren't locked out as far as like input, just in the specific location tests that hasn't happened in America yet.
Okay. And now, of course, you got trolled to death with DLC questions. AE 12, will it have new costumes?
Maybe.
Maybe. They also introduced a whole bunch of new costumes for MVC 3. Now, Street Fighter Tekken, since it's not even ready to be shipped yet, there's, of course, possibilities of DLC because it seems that's the going thing. You get, more revenue to come in with additional add-ons. Will it be like Super was to AE, where Vanilla was to Super, where we have to get a whole new disc? Or would it be DLC? Like, remember where Vanilla came out?
Yeah. No, I remember. But which game now are you asking about?
Oh, like Street Fighter Tekken. Would it be the same exact thing? Like, would they bring new additions? Will we have to?
We're I think as you can tell from things like the gem system, we're looking at Street Fighter Cross Tekken in sort of a new way. So that's not the plan right now. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And now, once Street Fighter Tekken is completed, any surprises? What's next?
Street Fighter Cross Tekken?
Yeah, after Street Fighter Cross Tekken, what's next for Capcom? Like for example, is AE 12 the last for the 4 series? Will they go to 5 or?
I know the answers to these questions, but you're not going to get that out of me here today. So
you could troll it. You could
troll me.
You could give questions.
Capcom share of trolling, and we should take our fair share of trolling. So.
Right.
Trolling makes the internet go round.
Yeah.
We have plans for the future for sure, as far as what's going to come next for fighting games. So these games are not the end for us.
Well, of course not. Yeah.
By any stretch of the imagination, but we've got some plans on a lot of different fronts that I think are going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, because one of the other questions, like fans, since they say we got MVC 3, they want to have Capcom versus SA Ken against it, right? Okay. Is that a possibility?
Capcom versus SNK?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what I always say about SNK is I'm just not sure right now. I understand there's some sort of, I don't think it's a legal issue. I think it's just sort of a corporate, like what the stance of SNK or what the position of SNK is. It's become a little bit unclear exactly who owns what. So Claymore, I know, is obviously making KOF 13, but our hands are full up on crossovers. We've got Cross Tekken, and with Marvel, we've got the crossover. But it's certainly not out of the question. I mean, we really love the Capcom vs. SNK 1 and 2, particularly 2 is a great game, and I think we'd be happy to do it again. It's just going to come down to a matter of time, and then also, our deals with Marvel took a long time before we were able to work out those licenses again. With Tekken, it was just kind of a crazy bro deal between Ono-san and Hirata-san. So beyond that, we'll have to figure out how it would work with SNK, but if they're interested, I'm sure there's plenty of people. I know there's people at Capcom who would be happy to work on that game as well.
All right, and last one. With your touchdown call for the game, was he caught before he passed the pylon, or did he cross?
My view is that the flags were slipping down of their own accord and were untouched by the Tekken defense. But I'll say it this way. I know who's paying my paycheck. So, if Tekken wants to get a better ref, if they have a problem with my call and my officiating, I'll send them my Swiss bank account and we can work something out.
All right, again, Seth, thank you for New York Comic Con. It's been a pleasure, and you got to get back to business.